Hey guys, it's WolfMaiden. I'm going to the Colonial Faire today and I'm taking you guys with me. I wanted to really quickly talk about what it is and where it is. It's Riley's farm in Oak Glen in California, and I'm going with a few of my friends. They do a lot of like historical reenactment things, anything from like the gold rush to revolutionary war times and stuff. So yeah, I don't know, I'm really excited. I'm a little bit interested in historical reenactment, but it's kind of like, well, living in California, I don't think there's a lot of that, so. But yeah, so we're gonna go, and you might even see some of my friends. So it took roughly an hour and a half to get to Riley's farm. It was a fun drive up, and I sang the whole way. I only filmed going up the mountain though. We've arrived. When we arrived at Riley's farm, we were a bit early, so we went to Hawks Head Public House, which is basically a tavern, in case that's not apparent. It was air conditioned and nice, and we waited for the event there, and we ordered some food. Sauteed green beans, chicken pot pie, I got a grilled cheese and some cream soda and some chips. So once the Colonial Faire started, there was a lot to do. First we picked our allegiances. Me and one other friend chose the colonies, and my two other friends chose the British. So they were hilarious the whole time. I didn't get any of that. A couple of them didn't want to be filmed, so I refrained from filming them at all. So some of the stuff they had to do, I participated in. I did some archery, flower crown making, and candle dipping. And I did have one friend who allowed me to use the tomahawk throwing footage. I wasn't prepared for the banter, even though I had a lead above at least a month. One of my friends was making fun of me for that, because I just didn't prepare, even though I had all the time. All the actors, however, everybody that was there was like really wonderful. They were hilarious. Some of them were more antagonists than others, of course, especially the British. So I didn't get any banter at all, unfortunately, except for when I was being taught archery by the lady there.
So we're going to keep everything at eye level because we're going to aim huntaway. This is not Olympic shooting, so we're not going to just blindly go. We're going to actually find it inside the eye, look down the shaft, point to where we want to go. It's true, I mean it's true. The only thing that's going to be a cat is the dress and my horse. Well, I mean you can sit there. Pretty much. Yeah. So, straight. Now, to avoid hitting your arm with the string, slightly very ever so
So we were in and out of the tavern a lot. It was cool in there. It was really hot that day. I don't remember the exact temperature, but yeah, it was the place we could go to cool off. Then there were other events, like the reading of the Declaration, the Boston Massacre, swordplay demonstration, desertion of a soldier, and others, not all of which I got on camera.
That is a radical notion. What that means is some things are not open to a vote. Your right to worship as you choose, your right to speak your mind, your right to protect yourself. That is not open to a vote. That is your right from God. Amen.
Duels are done outside the city limits. If they're usually done in the wee hours of the morning or the very, very late at night. If there's any authorities, they're either well bribed or well distracted. And usually duels end to first touch or first blood. But on occasion, accidents do happen. And if you're found to be not part of a duel where you actually killed the other opponent, you can be brought up on charges of willful murder. Gives you an idea. So the gentleman will go ahead and demonstrate some of the techniques utilized in small sword fencing. Watch your distance, gentlemen. Good. Again. Good. One more. Excellent. Well done. Gentlemen, sleep. Well done. Now on occasion, you may be in an instance where a man attacks you with a dagger or a knife, and you have your own dagger or knife, you do not have a sword. So you must learn how to defend yourself with a dagger. Now, for the purposes of this exhibition, we utilize wooden wasters here, so Mr. Scarsbrick here does not accidentally get stabbed in the eye. Again. One time. As my opponent comes in, I simply cover as such, bringing him down to his knees here. I can do a number of things. I can easily open up his neck, I can stab him in the back, or my personal favorite, hamstringing him and thus disabling him for life. Now, if I wish the fight to be over with quick, I simply do a cover and stab right here in the heart. Death will come quick if he is fortunate. So again, ladies, remember, quickest way to a man's heart, third and fourth way. Now, if I wish to utilize my dagger as a means of disablement, I simply cover, grabbing my own sharp blade, I dig it into his arm as such. Even with this wooden waster, you can see that he's in a bit of pain. Yes. Now, if for some reason I do not have a dagger, my opponent does, I must learn how to defend myself utilizing my own bare hands. Here at the Bankside School of Defense, we utilize many unarmed versus dagger techniques, one of which is known as the upper keys. And it is known as the upper keys because my arm moves through his arm like a key through a lock. One of the upper keys, as it comes in, simply cover here and bringing his arm like this. His arm is not meant to bend this way. You can see he's in a bit of pain. Now, if he tries to muscle his way out of it, I simply take my offhand and I renew the pressure like this. Look at the pain on his face. Now the second key utilizes his own center of gravity against him. As the opponent comes in, I simply cover as such, grabbing his wrist as such, locking it in. I can bring him down to his back or his knees. Over there, you can probably see he's in deep pain at this point. Yes. All right. He went into battle with one of these, and he was killed on the field. He was eviscerated from head to toe. Cut to ribbons, he was, except for his hands, which is still clutched in his basket hilt, never touched by another weapon. Now, again, this weapon is more utilized on the field of battle, and it is used more for hacking. And Captain Montress, Mr. Snazbrick, will go ahead and demonstrate some of the ways that you would use it. One of the things you'll notice when they're fighting is it doesn't look like they're missing, but the defender is actually getting out of the way. And that is your best defense. Just do not be there. Very good, gentlemen. Salute. So a weapon very similar to that, thank you very much. A weapon very similar to that is known as the saber. The saber, its distinctive is curved, makes a slashing movement as opposed to a hacking movement. Also, you will also note that it is only sharpened on one side. It has a flat back, creating a triangular cross section. And this has the advantage of hewing through a man, much like a wedge would split a log. Have you ever done that before? Yes. This is used mainly on horseback, and one of the things you'll notice is as they are fighting, there's a lot more circular motions and a lot more fluid motion. Again, this is a slicing weapon, a slashing weapon, as it were. Gentlemen? Now, if you also notice theirs is a little bit less curved and a little bit longer, they would have an advantage. But nevertheless, still consider the saber.
Then things got more serious.
Who are you talking to me about? Go home, bloodbath! I said be quiet! Hey! What do you think you're doing? No, we will not bet that! I will have your answer for that! How dare you! You're trying to fight us! Think off you! How dare you do such a thing? Go back! Go back! Men and women of New England, Americans, patriots, we thank you for joining us in this remembrance of March 5th, 1770, in Boston and Suffolk County, province of Massachusetts, later to be titled the Boston Massacre. The events laid down on the 5th of March would later be amongst the many stepping stones that lead to a pending war, the War of Independence from Britain. 5 years later, the colonies would throw off the bonds of King George and march against the greatest army in the world. As the shouts and the gun smoke cleared from the massacre, there lay 5 bodies, 3 dead and 2 mortally wounded, later to pass in the coming weeks. We here stand in remembrance of the first blood spilled in the Revolution. Please lend an ear to this passage, deciphered from the Boston Gazette, published March 12, 1770. Among those who would die, Crispus Attucks, sailor, age 47, born in Framingham, later belonged to New Province, here in order to go to North Carolina, killed by 2 shots entering his breast, dead. Mr. Samuel Gray, rope maker and brawler, age 47, was said to be one of the hardest street brawlers of the area, killed on the spot, the ball entering his head, dead.
Mr. James Caldwell, shipmate, age 17, positioned aboard Captain Morton's vessel known as the Hawk. In like manner, he was killed by 2 shots entering his back, dead. Mr. Samuel Maverick, apprentice to Mr. Greenwood, Ivory Turner, age 17, son of the widow Maverick, mortally wounded, a ball striking through the belly. He died the next morning, later buried at the house of his mother. And Mr. Patrick Carr worked with Mr. Field, leather breeches maker in Queen Street, age 30, an Irish immigrant, later hold no ill will on the soldiers, and testified they reacted out of defense. Wounded, a ball entered near his hip, died 9 days later. Among those 5, many other poor souls wounded by the way of gunfire and bayonets. As the rage of the Bostonians was fueled by the ads of that night, along with the injustices of the Stamp Act, the Iron Act, and a host of other legislations that the colonies were plagued with, the imminent prosecution of the British soldiers seemed assured. But an unlikely candidate would be chosen to defend the British soldiers of the 14th and 29th Regiments. A candidate of steadfast convictions, John Adams, secured the acquittal of some of the involved regulars, the jury ruling that they had acted in self-defense. The other 2, Private White and Private Montgomery, were convicted of manslaughter and branded in open court. Regardless of the outcome of the trial, the massacre, as it was henceforth known, left a bloody mark on the American consciousness. Surely, as the shots began ringing out against Lexington Green, less than 5 years later, the events of this fateful day were the forefront in the minds of the militiamen gathered there. Ladies and gentlemen, the Boston Massacre.
A soldier deserted from the British Army and was guilty of a bunch of ridiculous charges. Then the governor presided over the trial.
Counsel, before you say anything, I'm going to, I will act as prosecutor.
Very well.
And if you would like to open up.
Yes. This court is now in session. I, Sir John Wentworth, by the grace of God and the will of King George III, Governor of the colony of New Hampshire, shall preside as judge.
Very good.
Do we have anyone acting as counsel for defense?
We do not know, do we? I suppose we do not. Very good. Oh, rather what they say is he who what is it?
What do they say?
They do say that, yes, indeed. And nevertheless, as a fool for a client, probably a fool for the. That's right. Sergeant.
Rather smart, Major.
Yes,
Very well.
indeed.
You wish for my testimony?
Yes, please.
Private Smalls, not unaccustomed to the fair bit of, I suppose you would say, punishment, reprimand. Well, I suppose we began noticing he had not attended his bunk in several days. He, I believe, was missing some... Yes. And of course we did find him recently gambling with the local rabble, quite drunk and not about himself, and he as well has a list of other crimes, Major, that he has been accused of.
And what are those crimes?
Well, I believe if I remember correctly, it was libel, drunkenness, profane swearing, Sabbath breaking, allowing unyoked swine, roguish and lewd behaviour,
my swine.
roguish and lewd behaviour, railing, brawling, common night walking, of having wanton character, pilfering, trespassing, and most recently, striking an officer of the crown.
Very good. Thank you, Sergeant. Is that all?
Isaac.
Very good. Smalls, do you have anything to say in your defense?
All I can say is I do not remember any of the crimes, so therefore I cannot be the fault.
That's not necessarily true. Just because you do not know the law does not make you exempt from it. Nevertheless, my lord, prosecution rests.
Very well. The court has a question for the defendant. Were you not, as a soldier, issued a coat, equipment, muskets, all of
Left them in my bunk.
left them in your bunk?
Were they recovered?
Nay, sir, they have still not been found.
What did you do
So
with
his
them?
uniform and his equipment are missing.
Isaac.
Sergeant, is that his coat that's lying on the ground? Have you seen it before?
This one here.
Not until about 10 minutes ago when we found him in it.
It's not his regimental.
Well, I can see that, sir. But
definitely not.
wondering how you acquired it. Did you sell your...
Then the deserter was executed.
We will be firing in this direction, and but you might want to get back to
Look, they don't even know how to tie a blind. Sergeant, can we expedite this? I have anything to do. Major Beaumont is a common night walker. That's the best you can do. Go with it every day. I'm still a bit too drunk to think of anything that's 3 p.m. Ready? 3, set. Go ahead then. Shoot me.
Riley's farm also has berry picking, and that's not really a limited time event, although I wanted to do that too. There just wasn't enough time in the day between all the events to watch and then the stuff to do. So I could always come back another day to do that. But that was all the footage I did get. I did make a candle, and since I didn't have that on camera, this is the candle that I dipped. I just need a candlestick holder for it, and then basically I got a candle, I can light it. It was made of tallow, so that was kind of interesting. And then I still have my flower crown here. I had a bit of a theme I was going for here. They were all red accented, and I just had white. Ultimately, I think that if you live in the area, you should definitely check it out. Riley's Farm is really cool. They do a lot of field trips for kids and educate people on American history. Other than the Colonial Faire, which I think happens once a year, there's still a bunch of other things that they do, including having archery and tomahawk throwing available a lot. And berry picking, of course, is like, I think year-round, depending on how their berries are grown and everything, if they have them available or not. But immediately after the event, they had a dinner in the public house that we couldn't go to because all the tickets were sold out, unfortunately. I super wanted to go once we were there, but I couldn't wrangle my friends to get all the tickets beforehand, probably, So next week I will probably be doing something with crafting. I had an idea to make some medieval favors, especially for an event that I'm going to next year that I'm excited about, and I will probably announce in the future. So thank you for watching. I hope you found this interesting or entertaining, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you.